And I'm live. Hey. I've got 2 people watching, and is it Gives a Minute, Benon and Applehead? I would say so. You hit 50 subs today. Congrats, man. G'day. Oh, I don't even know. Hey, Sammy. Good to see you. Sorry about the washed out look of the thingo. I can't really help that. Yeah, I've tried adjusting the light. I've tried a bunch of stuff, and it doesn't really work. Let me just try putting the screen back in. Hang on, bear with me. Come back. Here we go. Is that better? A little bit, maybe. All right. G'day, Tony. Now, I believe Tony would like to know what CreatorCast is. So, yes, Benon said he was representing CreatorCast. Yeah, so for those who don't know, CreatorCast, it was a YouTube channel. I thought it was a pretty good idea. It was formed by 4 guys, Benon from Gives a Minute, Scotty from YouTube, who will see come onto my channel every now and then, Jay Boston, who I'm sure you'll know, done a few things with him in the past, and Danny from Where is Danny Black? And yeah, so they all formed a YouTube channel together to try and help out sort of small creators, and yeah, I guess they did a bunch of sort of informative videos, and it sort of evolved into live streams and that sort of thing. And then it sort of all had a big falling out. There's too detailed to go through. G'day to a few people who've just joined. Tim, Lukey, Albert as well. Hey. Yeah, so CreatorCast was that, and they had a falling out. It's way too difficult to explain briefly. But yeah, what ended up happening was that only Benon was the sort of last one standing, if you like. And yeah, was I wish it continued, but yeah, I can understand why it didn't. And so I posted this live stream to what was the CreatorCast Facebook group, in hopes that I'd reach maybe 1 or 2 people. I didn't expect much more than 1 or 2 people, but yeah, that's exactly what I reached, and I think I got, most people. I think only Hendrik ever liked the post on CreatorCast, but hasn't managed to get it into the stream yet. Yeah, there's a lot of reasons why CreatorCast failed, and yeah, Jay Boston was one of them, I'm afraid to say. As much as I get a bit sick of criticising Jay, that's the reality. And Jay and I are still on good enough grounds with each other, but yeah, we don't really. I haven't seen Jay in ages. Anyway, Jay, SG, whatever, Todd Ball. Yeah, so I will start with some general updates, because things have changed since last live stream. Firstly, I will be putting out a new video tomorrow night at the usual time, and which is 8:30, I think. I'm pretty sure. I don't know my own upload schedule. That's going to be a very big video. It's going to be a slow TV style video of heritage trains around Victoria in 2016 that I filmed. Back then, I didn't have a YouTube channel. Fogarty Avenue existed, and somebody said they were missing Fogarty Avenue. And yes, oh, stop that. Yeah, Fogarty Avenue existed, but it was in its infancy, and I was never going to upload train footage to that anyway. But I filmed stuff anyway. I didn't know what I was going to do with it. I just knew I'd do something with it someday. And yeah, I just sort of thought, hey, yeah, that'd be something interesting. And a few people, I did a poll on Instagram whether people would be interested, and it was a pretty overwhelming response to say yeah. So Slow TV is coming tomorrow. It's an hour 15 minutes. I don't expect you to watch all of it, but if you do, please leave a comment. Yeah, depending on how well that goes, I might do another one for like 2017. I did a lot of heritage trains in 2017. Haven't really done that many in 2018 and 2019. Although I went on my Queensland trip, of course, which I'll get to later, and I got a heck of a lot of footage from that. Shadowmaster Zone, yes, I do have Instagram. It's at Floyd Bromley. You know, search Floyd Bromley, whatever. It's in the description of most of my videos. You'll find it. Anyway, yeah, so if the Slow TV video tomorrow will, if that gets a good response, then I'll, yeah, do some more of that over the years. Albert says, hey, I watched most of the GAN and Indian Pacific Slow TV things on SBS that went for like a whole day long. I'm sure I can deal with 1.25 hours. Yes. Here I am talking about Slow TV, and I haven't actually watched all of the Slow TV of the GAN in the Indian Pacific. I watched some of the GAN one, probably half an hour or so of it, but I enjoyed it. I thoroughly enjoyed it. So yeah. Am I going to the Seymour train opening day? The answer is probably not, as much as I would love to. Unfortunately, the Seymour opening day corresponds every year right at my exam time. So, you know, the first time I was really getting into trains was year 12, and my exams were all around October, November. And same here with uni, exams are all around October, November. So I don't think so is the answer. I'll have to see. But maybe in a couple of years' time, once I graduate from uni, I will do that. But main topic of this video, modes of adventure transport. I'll quickly answer, what am I studying at uni? I'm studying automotive engineering. If you know me, or I've spoken to you before, I might have told you mechanical engineering. Long story, basically they're pretty much the same course, but I was, at the end of year 12, I was aiming to get into mechanical engineering at RMIT. But then I was told that, you know, it'd be a good idea to put automotive engineering as my second preference because it was 99%, maybe not 99, say 75% the same course, 100% in the first 2 years. It's the exact same course in the first couple of years. And if I didn't get into mechanical engineering, I would get into automotive engineering. G'day, Hendrik. Good to see you. That makes all 3 people from CreatorCast on this stream. Thank you very much, guys. Really appreciate it. So long story short, I didn't get into mechanical engineering. I got into automotive engineering, and I was told, hey, you can transfer in a couple of years. That'll be fine. So I rolled with that for ages. And then I kept failing subjects at uni, like maths and stuff, even though I did really well. I got the equivalent of a high distinction in maths in year 12. But I failed uni maths. I did fail the first and the third. I came very close to failing the second as well. That was not a fun time for me, those maths, but anyway. So I couldn't transfer because they were like, well, you failed some subjects. You've got to repeat them before you transfer. So it's fine. I finally got all caught up. No more subjects failed. That's it. I can transfer. Brilliant. I go to transfer. And they're like, oh, sorry, you got to wait for your exam results. I'm like, ugh, fine. And then I was speaking to somebody at RMIT for a different reason and happened to mention that, and they were like, oh, no, you can transfer now. Fine. And so I applied to transfer, and then I got the message back saying, sorry, you've been rejected because your GPA is not high enough. You needed a 2.0, and I had a 1.7. So I was a bit pissed off about that, but I had a talk to my head of the course thing, and talk to him about sort of what the best course of action was, and he sort of pointed out that actually the courses are even closer together than I thought they were. Subjects that I thought were unavailable to me in automotive are actually available just as electives rather than core subjects, and vice versa. A lot of core subjects in automotive are electives in mechanical that I probably would have taken anyway. So, long story short, I'm probably sticking with automotive. Where will that lead me? To the railways, I hope. Don't know where in the railways, somewhere in the railways. Let's read the comments a bit. Failing maths at uni, I can relate. Yeah, cheers, Albert. And yeah, don't know who Judy you're talking about is, but anyway, that's something for another time, I guess. So you will still get a Bachelor of Engineering at the end. Yes, hopefully. I get 2 opportunities to repeat any course that I failed. So far, I've never had to go into the second attempt. And at the moment, I've scaled back my workload so that I can hopefully concentrate on fewer subjects and therefore get better marks. That was, again, a recommendation of my course advisor. He said, look, you might take a little bit longer to graduate, but I think you'll find it better in the long term. And I said, yes, I agree. So, Floyd, are you back in Melbourne now, or are you still in Queensland? I'm back in Melbourne, have been for the past month or so. Has it been a month already? Geez. I guess so. Or 4 weeks, I guess. It's coming up to a month. Actually, it might have been a month. Anyway, Queensland was epic. Queensland was very epic. But I guess this sort of leads into the main discussion point of the video, live stream, whatever, which is the modes of transport. And by that I mean the sort of modes that are going to be accessible to the everyday person. So I'm not talking about private jets, unfortunately, as much as I would have loved to have a private jet experience. That hasn't happened yet. And, you know, luxury yachts and that sort of thing, you know, maybe one day. But for now, I'm pretty much talking about hiking, driving, and public transport. My connection is unstable. Am I back? It seems so. The message has gone away. I don't know what happened there, but the stream died. Yeah, that was weird. That was unexpected. My Wi-Fi didn't drop out. Anyway. Yeah, and so, yeah, I was saying that commercial flights I'm considering as part of public transport, even though they're sort of not technically, but close enough. What are the benefits and disadvantages to each mode, I guess? Yeah, so I'll start with hiking. Hiking was my first real experience with, you know, going on adventures, I guess, because I went on my first hike in 2016, early 2016, and yeah, I don't think I had my license then, although somehow I remember driving to check it all out. I think maybe when did I turn 18? That's right, I turned 18 in 2015. That'd be my confusion. So I did have my license. Anyway, hiking was my first real sort of big adventure, if you like. And I hiked the Malort railway line from Maryborough to Castlemaine. Or it ended up being Maryborough to Newstead, where we ditched on our last day because it was raining and we didn't feel like walking in the rain. Yeah, that video, I'll tell you what, for the people who was saying we missed Fogarty Avenue, I was on the phone to Les today and he was saying that he feels like editing, so maybe you'll get something. I can't promise anything. Les is Les. But the hiking is really good for situations like abandoned railway lines, because it's often very difficult to drive them. Even if you had a proper four-wheel drive, it's still kind of difficult, especially in parts when, like, farmers often put fences up because, of course, the railway line's disused and they might own property on both sides of the track and they want to transfer their livestock across. So, yeah, they might put a fence across, and if you're in a car, then that can be very difficult. If you're walking, you just jump over the fence. A bit difficult if it's an electric fence. You do occasionally come across them. I have come across a couple of electric fences that I've had to jump or find some way through without electrocuting myself, and let's just say it doesn't always go to plan. I'm sure you can extrapolate from there what exactly happens. But the brilliant thing about hiking, although it's slow, that's kind of its benefit. You get to see everything. You know, you could show me a picture from the line, one of the lines that I've hiked, and you wouldn't have to tell me where you took it, and I'd have a decent idea of where you took it. And that's the sort of great thing about hiking, is you get to know every inch of the railway. And yeah, it's almost as if, you know, you were working on it or something. But as I said, the downside is it's slow and it's tiring. It's my average pace, including rest days and all that. I did the South Gippsland Railway Line. That was 150 kilometres, and I hiked that over 2 weeks. So my average pace was 15 k's a day. You know, some days I'd go a bit more than 20 k's a day. Some days I only went 10 k's. It sort of just depends on the town. I'd always try and stay in a town or close to a town. Generally, my rule is if there's a caravan park available in the town, I'll use that. If not, then I will use the, I'll find some campground or some makeshift place to camp just outside of town. I can do a video if people want in the future about planning for hikes. I will do one about planning for my Queensland trip, but I can do one for hikes as well. Depends how much interest there is. Say so if you're interested. Common theme, says Albert, raining during abandoned railway lines. I remember Heels Hill. Yeah. I do want to release Heels Hill again, especially now that it's being turned into a rail trail. Maybe we'll cut out the old, the tourist railway part, because that's essentially why we took it down, as I've explained before, because the tourist railway wasn't happy that we walked along their track. Fair enough. And the Shadowmaster Zone says there is a few abandoned trains in Ipswich, also an old railway. Yeah. I've sort of been past the Ipswich workshops and I've seen a lot of them from a distance. But yeah. I was interested in a hiking planning video, so that's good to hear. What else is good about hiking? It's good because you don't have to worry about a car, having a car, dealing with a car, fuel costs. It's a very cheap way of adventuring. I don't know how much I spent on the South Gippsland hike. It was a while ago, but it was in the realm of, like, I'd say less than $200 for the whole trip. Food, caravan parks, everything. $200. It's not bad. How hard is it hiking 20 kilometers in one day? It's not fantastic, but if you got to do it, you got to do it. Yeah, there was one day where I was going to have to walk, I think 23 k's, but I didn't end up doing that because the railway line was overgrown at that point. It was no longer a rail trail; it was just an overgrown, like really overgrown. And Les had ditched me because he was too tired. Fine. And I was walking along roads, like dirt roads that were going parallel to it for, I don't know, 5 k's or so. And then the roads just stopped. They just stopped. And I wasn't prepared to go bush bashing on my own because if something happened to me, like I got bitten by a snake or something, there would be nobody there to help me. And I didn't like that prospect, so I rang up Les and said, hey, I'm turning around. I'll join you on the bus to the next town. So yeah, I did that, and the rail trail sort of started up again a bit further down. The video on that will come out one day. One day. If Les doesn't do it, I'll do it one day. Hiking is tiring, and it physically takes a toll on you, especially your feet. Your feet take a lot of abuse. By the end of the South Gippsland walk, admittedly, I didn't have very good shoes on. I had some runners that were on their last legs, and I just wanted to walk them to the death. Perhaps that wasn't the greatest idea, because I I ended up with at least one blister on every single toe. I think each foot had probably about 10, at least 10, maybe 15 blisters per foot. So it was not fun having those blisters. And they only really developed in the last few days or week even of the hike. Anyway, yeah, the other disadvantage to it is you really can't carry that much stuff. I mean, you can, but take it from me, you want to reduce your pack weight as much as possible, because it's not fun, and you consume more and more energy the heavier your pack is. I generally don't like to go over 20 kilos for my pack, preferably a bit below that, but especially with camera equipment and stuff, it's quite easy to go over that mark. Driving, on the other hand, stuff will go past a lot faster. You won't get as much detail, but you'll be able to cover a lot more in a shorter amount of time, and that can be super valuable. You can really get to places that you wouldn't have otherwise had the time to get to, and that's the main thing with driving, is the time. You can sacrifice other stuff, like the other benefits of driving are, of course, like you can take a lot more stuff and you don't have to worry so much about weight, you know, because you just tuck it all in the back, and you can have your bed. If you're like me, if you've got a car that you can sleep in the back of, you can chuck your bed up in the back, and you can just have that all set up, and it's all good. You don't have to bother with tents and all that crap. But yeah, the stuff goes by a lot faster, and you don't get as much detail. So you win some, you lose some. Let's read some comments. A good mate learnt the hard way about climbing an electric fence with the crotch of his pants torn and not wearing jocks. I thought it was a snake strike as he lay on the ground shaking. God damn it. Yeah, I would not want that to happen to me. I've ripped my jeans on fences before, but thankfully they weren't electric fences. Then I found out he had electrocuted his nuts. It was a fantastic laugh for me list. Yeah. Benon says he did a 6-foot track back in 2003. Over 4 days, fantastic hike over the Megalong Valley into Katoomba. So rad. Yeah. Sounds pretty nice. What else? Did I use my Canon back then? Yes, I've had my Canon since 2014. essentially. I say that because, well, I guess I'll explain briefly my photography journey, because, of course, photography is a big part of my adventures. My journey with photography really started, you can say, when I was quite young. I always sort of had an interest in photography, but I didn't really take it that seriously. I just had a little camera, and then, yeah, it wasn't until sort of, I'd say 2012, maybe 2011, 2012, so year 7, year 8, that I started to take photography a bit more seriously. And I asked my parents if they could buy me a DSLR, because at that time, I just had a small little black Samsung point-and-shoot camera. And they said, I think that's a bit advanced for you at the moment. We'll buy you a decent small camera, and if you use that well, then we'll get you a DSLR. And as much as I didn't really like that answer, it was for the best of me. So that was 2013-ish, bit before. And I got that camera, used it for a couple of years, and then in 2014, so year 10, that was when I was gifted my 70D DSLR for my birthday with one lens. And that was really what sort of took me to the next level, if you like. And I had that for many years. And I bought myself a second lens, a 10-18, which I probably use more commonly than my other one nowadays. But I lost that camera back 2 years ago. Yeah. 2 years ago, I lost it. I left it on a train, ironically enough. I was I was on a train, pulled into Flynn Street. I'd just been out for the day photographing some stuff, and I the train carriage that I was in was making some funny noises, and so I wanted to note down the carriage number, right? But we'd pulled into Flynn Street, and so I quickly got up to take a photo of the carriage number with my phone, right? Because that was the quick and easy. But then by the time I'd done that, people were flooding into the train, and I got off the train without realising that I'd left my camera behind. It wasn't until I changed trains that I realised, oh crap, I'd left my camera. By the time I got back, the train I left it on had left. And despite my I tried very hard to get it back, but I couldn't in the end. So that sucks, but I saved up for the replacement. It took me a while. In the meantime, I learned a lot about taking photos on my phone. I'll do a video on that for another time, about taking good photos on your phone, because I learned a heap about that. Anyway, it was probably a bit over a year ago that I replaced it. So it was a good year that I just took photos on my phone. Maybe a bit less than a year. I can't really remember. Yeah, I think it was a bit less than a year. Anyway, replaced that, and that camera is what is with me today. In fact, here it is, sitting under my desk. And this microphone I got, technically both Les's and mine, we each pitched in $60 or whatever. It's like $120 for the microphone. And yeah, since he doesn't use it for Fogarty Avenue anymore, I get to use it. So, I mean, it is jointly owned by us. So there's that. Yeah, and Matthew James asked, do you think you'll upgrade to the 90D when it comes out? That's a good question, because the 90D is rumored to come out pretty soon, and I'm due for a camera upgrade. It's been effectively 5 years, and my photography has improved a lot since then. And although photography is, I'd say, at least a good 90% the photographer, the gear you make does make a difference. So I'm thinking of upgrading, whether it's to the 90D. I'll reveal in a minute. Let me read some comments though. Tony Hawkins says he still has his 60D with that 10 to 18mm Canon lens as well. Yeah, it's a brilliant lens. I really love it for what it is. It has its limitations, but it's a brilliant lens for what it is. And the 60D is a nice camera as well. That whole series, like well, it started as the 10D, I guess. The 10D, 20, 30, 40, 50, more commonly known as 60, 70, 80, and 90. Oh, top quality cameras. Wonder what they're going to do when they get to the 100D, because that's, you know, a generation above, but they will, I think they've already made a 100D, but it's different. I won't get into it. Camera specifics. Gives a minute says he left a $190 Sony Walkman on the school bus in 1992. Never forgotten how lame that was for me. Yeah. Yeah. It really destroyed me losing my camera. But I learned a lot of valuable lessons. So what do you do? But I am due for an upgrade. Am I going to upgrade to the 90D? No, I don't think so. The 90D is more, I need more than the 90D, is the short answer. I'm really feeling the limitations of my gear, and I have a sort of, I don't know what you call it, a pact, I guess, with myself, that I like to follow, that I say that I never upgrade any of my gear unless I can explain to myself exactly how my current gear is limiting me and exactly how upgrading to whatever will remove that limitation. And it has to be over a long period of time. It can't just be like oh, I feel like upgrading to the latest camera because it's the latest. That's a waste of money for me, you know. So what am I going to upgrade to? I'm not 100% certain at this stage, but the primary contender is a Sony a7 Mark III. I've considered like all the other variants. I've considered, do I wait for the A7R4 that's possibly coming out next year? I'm thinking, and, you know, do I upgrade to a better Canon camera? Do I stick with Canon? I'm not necessarily loyal to Canon. I think Sony are doing a lot of fantastic things. And yeah, the only thing that's getting in my way is the cost, because my God, is it expensive for me. For somebody who doesn't really work, I mean, I do work, but it's sort of like on the side, and because uni is my main thing, obviously. I mean, I funded my trip to Queensland, so hey, that's something. And that's another good point. I prioritise going on trips than getting new gear, because I'd rather have the photos with lesser quality gear than have the higher quality gear and not the photo. Because then what's the point of having the higher quality gear if you're not getting the photos? Yeah, I'd much rather that. The price, though, it gets me every time. My current kit is worth roughly a bit over $1,000, say. So if I sold all my kit tomorrow, it'd be worth roughly $1,000, a bit more maybe. And the Sony kit is in the realm of like $5 or $6 grand once you get the body and the lens. And I would want to have a an entire replacement. So not just like the body and a basic lens. I would want the body and at least 2 lenses so that I can literally replace everything that my current gear does, but better. Am I going to sell my 70D after I upgrade? Maybe, but probably not. I think I'd like to just keep it around for at least a little while. I feel like it'd be handy to have a second camera. And, you know, I'll keep it around for another year or 2 and see how much I use it, see if it's of any use to me. And if I find that it's just gathering dust, then, yeah, I might sell it. Or maybe it's just not worth much at that stage and I decide to keep it anyway. But, yeah, I'm getting there. I think maybe in a couple of months I might be able to purchase it. Yeah. Everything about the Sony looks like it'll satisfy what I want it to do. So, yeah. And, yeah, I don't know what to say else about it. I guess I'll have more to talk about it once I actually get closer to buying it. And yeah, I'm a bit of a gear nerd, if you like. I do a lot of research along the different gear, just because I find it interesting. So I'm well informed, and there are a few good contenders. There are definitely a few good contenders. I guess the last mode of transport that I haven't really talked about is public transport, essentially what I just did in Queensland, going everywhere by train. It's a bit of a hybrid. It has a lot of the benefits of a car, but it also has a lot of the disadvantages of hiking. What do I mean by that? I mean that the way I did it, I carried a hiking pack essentially, and I stuffed it with, it ended up being fully loaded with everything in it, 25 kilos. And let me tell you, 25 kilos is not fun. It's not fun to carry around. But you got to do it sometimes. But I was happy to accept the 25 kilo mark because I was like, I'm going to be staying somewhere most of the time when I won't have to be carrying around my bag all day. And so I won't have to worry about the weight so much. And I also had my big pack that carried the bulk of my stuff. And I also had a smaller backpack that would fit inside the bigger one. And I used that as my day pack. And that, you know, had all my photography gear in it. Pretty much all my valuables that I didn't want to leave behind. Occasionally, like if it was an Airbnb and I knew it was pretty safe, then yeah, I'd leave my computer there or something. But if it was a caravan park, I'm not comfortable leaving my laptop in my tent. So I carried that around in my bag with me, even though I wouldn't really use it. I just found it better. Camera equipment alone was like 5 kilos. 5 kilos worth of camera and electrical equipment. That's, you know, chargers, extension cords, power boards, all that crap that you got to take with you. Can be a bit annoying sometimes, but I'd rather have it than not. And trains are great because you can cover a lot of distance like cars, but they also have their own unique benefit of the fact that you're not driving, and so you don't get as tired because driving all day is tiring. you don't get as tired on the train, and you don't get as you can do stuff. If you feel like reading a book, you can read a book. If you feel like editing a video for YouTube, like I did, you can do that. Hopefully there's a PowerPoint on the train. Some of them did, some of them didn't in Queensland. But yeah, their main disadvantage is that they're not your personal, it's not a personal mode of transport, right? So you can't really leave anything set up for more than a day on the train, or, you know, whatever the duration of the journey is. I went on a few trains in Queensland that were roughly a day, and so, you know, you can leave some stuff set up. But yeah, and going by train is the other big benefit that I didn't really talk about with hiking. A disadvantage of hiking is that you've potentially got to carry a lot of your food with you, because it's not that easy to drive into town. Yeah, I always prefer to be in a town because of the facilities, but sometimes it just isn't impractical to do so. And yeah, the train are good because you don't have to worry about food. You know, if it's a long train, you'll have food on board, and, you know, you'll end up in a town, so there's going to be food there. So yeah, if anyone's curious, I budgeted about $30 a day for food in Queensland, and I definitely didn't lash out, but I wasn't super shy on my food either. Like I generally ate at a pub or something like that, some local restaurant or something. Yeah. Am I planning another hike? Asked Tony Hawkins. I don't have another one planned exactly. The next sort of railway adventure is probably going to be a car-based one. But I haven't been on a hike in a couple of years, right? So I definitely like to do one. It's just a matter of picking a line to do. I've done pretty much all the suburban lines that have still got track of them in them, whatever. And there's not, I can't really, well, there's a couple of lines with still tracks on them in Victoria that I'd be interested in hiking. But if I was to pick my next hike, I'm actually seriously considering doing the Warburton line. Probably I think that's about 40 odd Ks, so it's not a huge line. I'd probably do it over 2 days or so, 2, maybe 3 days. But yeah. Albert says, if traveling alone by train, you need to take care of leaving stuff while you go to the toilet or food, etc. There's been a few thefts on the XPT in New South Wales like that. Yes, I would. The way that I would deal with that, leaving stuff out, is I would make an informed judgment of the people around me. Yeah, I probably wouldn't leave stuff out on the XPT, but if it's something like the Westlander, where you pretty much know everyone on board, or, you know, if someone steals your stuff, it's very obvious, so you leave your stuff there. Like, you know, I went for extended periods of time where I had just had my laptop out in the open and back of my seat, and I would go sit in the lounge car with my camera and come back to my laptop. So yeah, it's really a judgment call, and yeah, I haven't really ever done travel insurance, but I guess that's something you could also look into if you're particularly concerned. I just keep a close eye on my stuff, and I'm happy with that. Happy enough with that. Would I ever do a line in New South Wales? Absolutely. Time is the only big restriction, honestly. There's only really, it's only really in the sort of late November to early February period of the year where I can, and I guess mid-year as well. So there's only 2 times of the year really that I can get out there, and going to New South Wales would take a lot of planning from me because obviously I don't live in New South Wales. You have to make the time to plan for it. Yeah, it probably won't be as good. Stream dropped out again. Sorry about that. Don't know what happened. Didn't say much. There's a few good lines in South Australia as well. Yes, there are. New South Wales and South Australia have the they don't tend to rip up their lines as quickly as Victoria does. So yeah, I'll definitely do one day. One day. I'd love to. Well, here's another thing that's sort of in the back of my mind that I'm sort of planning. It's a long way off, but it's in the infancies of planning. Is making my car more suited to the sort of adventures that I like to go on. And so, you know, it's like I would probably, the things I'd do is I'd upgrade the tyres to all-terrain tyres. That'd probably be the first step. Consider getting more lights. Consider getting some other equipment. I'm slowly acquiring a bunch of stuff, but that'll take a long time, and it's probably not for another couple of years that that's going to happen. And yeah, I will. One trip I'd like to do one day in the car is exploring the old GAN line in South Australia. For that matter, the old North Australian Railway. Those would be cool. Nyngan to Burke in New South Wales is one that Albert would like to do. That would need to be driving as the distance is so great. Yeah, there are some lines where it's like you can either drive and it'll take you a couple of days, maybe, or you can walk it and it'll take you like a couple of weeks. As I said, there's benefits and disadvantages to both. And there's a line, it's technically in New South Wales, actually, that but it was part of the Victorian Railway network. What's it called? Moolameen. The old Moolameen line. That's quite long. It's about 150 k's. And so that's the equivalent of South Gippsland. Now, I hiked the South Gippsland, so does that mean that I'll be hiking the Moolameen as well? Probably not. Because the big difference between the Moolameen line and South Gippsland is towns in population. There are very few towns in the population in the Moolameen line. So, yeah. I would only consider hiking that line if I had a crew driver, I guess. If I had somebody sort of meeting me at certain points along the way, and carrying all of my stuff, I guess. But yeah, still need to I've had a couple of people show mild interest in that sort of job, so maybe we'll do that one day. Loads of good stuff on along the old GAN line. Though watch out for rain in winter. Yes, I definitely wouldn't want to go in the wet season. Definitely go in the dry season. I've been seeing a few photos of the old GAN line lately, and it's just every time I see a photo, it's like, oh damn, I want to do that. But yeah, it's getting close to an hour's time and 7-8 people. So, hey, that's pretty good. And 6 likes, that's pretty good. Oh, I'm back again. Why is the internet dropping out? I don't know. But yeah, it's possibly going to be I'm possibly thinking of going on a heritage trip called the Grainlander. I'll be doing if I'm going to do that, I'll do the day trip, which is at Charlton on Witchproof to Sea Lake and back. And yeah, technically tickets for that have sold out, but I reckon I could rock up on the day and say, hey, can I buy a ticket? And I'd say, yeah, all right. Actually, the guys that run that train, that 707, I've done a few unusual things in the past. Unorthodox. I call them unorthodox. I've done a few unorthodox things with them in the past. Like, a part of I've slept on the train when I didn't have a ticket. Of course, I asked them, I said, hey, if I donate $50 to 707, can I sleep on the train? They said, yeah, right, sounds good. And I've gone on bus tours with them that I wasn't technically booked on, but hey, I got on there anyway. Bit of extra cash, and they're all good. So even if there was no seats left on the train, I reckon I could seriously rock up and just go up to John, or John's the main guy, and or Darren is another one of the main guys, and just say, hey, I don't need a seat. I'll pay full ticket price though. Can I come on? And say, yeah, right. So it's either that, or I'm possibly going on a trip to South Australia to this music festival with Les and a few other mates, and I'm probably going to be checking out the old, what do you call it, Mount Gambier to Hayward, I think it is, line, something like that. It's not WOMAD. I've been to WOMAD. WOMAD's a great festival. I love WOMAD. But yeah, no, it's going to be the Triple J one night stand. So yeah. Funny story about WOMAD and my camera. There was a performance once there that was there were a bunch of performers, and this wasn't on the stage. This was like they sort of began by sort of having a section of the grass sort of barriered off, and then they're like throwing powder around and stuff, coloured powder that's really fine and gets into everything. Throwing that around, all good, blah, blah, blah. And then they start running off and, want the crowd to follow them. And so I start following them, and I just sort of happened to end up at the front of the crowd. I don't really know how that happened, but I did, and there was a huge crowd. But I did. I was at the forefront of it all, and my camera got covered in this dust, and I mean covered, to the point where one of the performers turned around mid-performance, looked at my camera, and said, "Geez, is your camera going to be all right?" This is 2014, Benon. And I said, "Yeah, it'll be all right." Kept on photographing. I didn't really pay too much attention to what state it was actually in. And then the performance finished and everything, and I was walking back to try and find the rest of my family and stuff. I decided to pull out my phone and take a selfie to sort of see what the extent of it was, because I could see on my camera it was a lot worse than I expected, and pretty sure I can find this in a few seconds. Here it is. It's going to be poor quality, but anyway, you get the idea. You can sort of see just how covered I am and my camera is. And there was a legitimate concern that, maybe I'd gotten dust into places where it really shouldn't have ended up. Especially considering that the camera had a bit of weather sealing, but it's not like pro level weather sealing at all. Like, there was no rubber gasket between the lens and the body. It's just metal on metal. And so I was like, we'll have to see. And I cleaned the camera up a bit, and made sure to clean it up as much as possible before trying to open up the lens. And I opened it up, and no dust was inside. So I was like, oh, yes, please. Thank you. I wouldn't necessarily risk my camera again like that, but let's just say that's not the only abuse it copped over the years. So the weather sealing in Canon cameras, that's one big pro of Canon cameras. The weather sealing is always better than they make it out to be, which is really good. I'm so glad that I didn't ruin my camera after, I'd only owned it for a few months at that stage. But yeah, I mean, I think I've got this photo. You can see it was like mid cleanup, so I'd gotten most of the dust off. Then if I swipe again, you can see, yeah, that was completely afterwards. There was always little remnants of it, like slight pinkish stuff. You could sort of see it towards the end of it, but towards the end of the camera's life that I owned it for before I lost it. But there was never any negative consequences, really, apart from having to clean it up a bit, having that dust. So yeah, the 1DX is fully weather sealed, and the 1DX is about the most weather sealed camera out there. And if anyone's ever seen the old videos from what do they call it, Digital Rev TV, there's a few funny videos where they get like real basic cameras, and they sort of show you how good the weather sealing actually is, even though it's not advertised as that, by trying to destroy it. And I think the worst one they did was they got like a pretty much a kit camera. Their classic move was chuck a cup of hot tea on the camera and see if it survives, and that was an easy walk in the park for the camera. So they froze it in a block of ice and then shot it with a BB gun, and then went to see if it still worked again, and it still worked. So my God, a Canon camera's tough. That's one thing. And my Sony, that's the one thing. Sony hasn't, they say that it's weather sealed, but they haven't had the test of time yet to prove it. Yeah. Anyway, we're coming towards the end of the live stream. Can anyone tell me, do you legitimately prefer the 9 p.m. start? Or, because I thought the 8 p.m. start would be a bit easier on people. So do you actually prefer the 9 p.m. start, and you just missed the 8 p.m. because it just wasn't advertised that well? Should I keep it at 9 p.m. or should I switch it to 8 p.m.? Is the basic question. Red Hen prefers an 8 p.m. Anyone else have any opinion? Tony Hawkins reckons 8 p.m. as well. Albert says he doesn't know about 8 p.m. He has a reminder on his phone for 9 p.m. I think it's easy. Okay. I just seem to have a much better response with 9 p.m. I think I might stick with it just because that's what I've done. Did I hear about the P&A classes being scrapped? Of course I did. And it sucks that, they couldn't be saved. That's Pacific National's fault, well and truly. But Pacific National would, they don't sell to domestic buyers, so that's why they didn't. That's why the A's weren't saved. Long story short, because they don't sell to domestic buyers. Same with the X classes. I'm sure SSR would have loved to have them, but what can you do? Business is business. Oh, they once sold a Loco to Steam Ranger. Geez, bold move, Pacific National. And they're hiring out a T-Class 707 for the Greenlander. Yeah, you're right. It's because they're a historical society. And actually, I was going to say there's one A-class that they haven't scrapped, but that's wrong. I'm just thinking of Freight Australia colours, and I'm instantly thinking A-classes. There's not an A-class that hasn't been scrapped from Pacific National, but there is an S-class that hasn't been scrapped from Pacific National, and that's sitting at the back of the import. Long story, won't go into that. Gotta run, says gives a minute. Nice stream, keep him coming. Live is where it's at. Cheers, mate. Glad you could tune in. 9 p.m. I think I'll stick with 9 p.m. Just because that's what I've always done, and I've had a much better response with 9 p.m. So 9 p.m. is where it's at. And I think 9 p.m. suits me better in the long run as well. Yeah. All right. I think that's going to be it for me. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. I hope you can join me for 2 weeks' time. Oh, before everyone goes, I'll just quickly announce that the first of my Queensland videos is starting next week, and they will be coming out on a weekly basis. So, there you go. All right. See you, everyone. Hope you enjoy Queensland.